Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the our Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in making the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on strength on our natural history and nation building through peace, friendship, and being mindful of generations to come. So with that, I'll ask maybe CEO Morris to identify staff. We have a full council with us tonight. And so what staff do we have, Mr. Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have with us this evening our Deputy Clerk, Nadine Bennett. We also have Fire Chief Rick Cheeseborough and Directors Costello, McMunn, and Manhire with us this evening.
Okay, great. Item number 1, are there any amendments to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, are there any disclosures of monetary interest arising from the agenda from council members? Seeing none, we do have one delegation, and it's a pleasure for me to welcome Aaron Lee from Lanark County Interville House. And we all know Aaron, and it's good to see you again. And also Andy Truel with Redefine Arts. And the topic tonight is Countdown Public Art Presentation. And we're all looking forward to hearing what that is all about. So I'll leave the floor to you, Aaron and Andy.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. It's been a while since I have been able to join all of you. So I am honored, of course, to be with you this evening, and I am honored to have my colleague Andy Troll in the house. It's always good to have the person who understands all the technicalities of how to put together such a beautiful opportunity in a community with me, because I'm not always a master at the details. Nadine, I appreciate if you're going to share the screen and we'll get through this presentation. And I appreciate your time this evening, and know that typically we work with a 10-minute opportunity. So we can move right into slide number 2. Lanark County Interville House and Community Support has had the opportunity to work with Redefine Arts, who formerly Red Dress Productions, in creating and participating in the Countdown Public Art projects. And they create public mosaics, pebble mosaics that exist in many communities. And as you can see on this screen, there are many mosaics that exist, and they came as a result of our understanding of sexual and gender-based violence, and it offers spaces of remembrance, peace, and hope for those who have been affected, those who have been taken, those that are suffering and journeying through, and those who need a place to go to reflect, to empower themselves, and to think about the kind of action they can take to end sexual and gender-based violence in communities. We participated in our first in Carleton Place in 2019, and worked with the town of Carleton Place, with council and community and Red Dress Productions, to create a beautiful mosaic that lives permanently as an art installation behind the Carleton Place Town Hall in Town Square. We then had an opportunity to work again with Red Dress Productions and create a second mosaic in Elmont. And we worked with the Township of Mississippi Mills, the community, and artists and everyone. And we created a mosaic that was launched last fall. Last fall, we had a discussion, and the discussion came from community members. And the discussion was, when will we have another one? And where will it be? And could we please consider Smith Falls? We don't have a particular place to gather in Smith Falls to talk about sexual violence and gender-based issues. So we went and started having those discussions, and I approached Mayor Panko and suggested that perhaps Smith Falls would benefit from such an opportunity. So how does it work? There's a build and an installing of a permanent stone mosaic in our community. We engage and work with local community in the creation of the mosaic through a whole wide range of safe methods that respect current public health realities with COVID. And we did such a great hybrid model last year that at some point I would love to be able to speak to you about. It involved online sessions where we engaged community members, any community member. You don't have to be a keeper of art supplies, and you don't have to identify as an artist. What you have to do is have an interest in creating a permanent art installation in community that has intention. And the intention is to acknowledge that sexual violence and gender-based violence happens in our community, and that we as a community are making efforts and taking actions to make that change, and to create education and opportunity to come together like this, where people can just give of themselves freely with intention to create a beautiful art piece that lives in our community. We recognize that art piece with a plaque, and it includes Civic Partners logos, and it talks about why the mosaic is there. The mosaic, if it gets broken or damaged, it is also repaired and restored if in the event it's needed. So what do we need? We need a suitable space for the stone mosaic to live permanently. We need excavation of the agreed upon site to a depth of, and Andy can explain these things in terms of the diameter and the size. We need safe dig checks done. We need access to water during the installation, and we need a provision of a 4-foot concrete base to install onto, if possible, and curb is also something that could be installed there. We need champions of this project with you as the leaders, with your constituents and your networks, and then working with Red Dress Productions, Redefine Arts, and Lanark County Interval House and community support. There are ways certainly that you can go online and look at all the photos and look at the process for how we move this project forward if we decide, if the town of Smith Falls decides they want to take it on. We can move the slide forward if you could. Thank you. Why now? We have two existing amazing pieces. Given the current climate, we have been honored to be asked if we would like to create another one with this hybrid model. And in Smith Falls, so our discussion started in the fall. And in Smith Falls, unfortunately, we had a recent murder, femicide in our community, where we lost a woman who was taken from us, and Chantal didn't die in vain. And this would be a way for our community to also honor this loss and to provide a permanent art installation in Smith Falls that speaks to all people's issues of sexual and gender-based violence, but also honors the loss of a community members. Smith Falls is a growing community, and this piece would be an opportunity for positive community engagement. And we would like to build relationships and visibility in Smith Falls as an agency, as we've worked with many community members and support the capacity of growing together as a strong community. Art allows and supports public acknowledgement, recognizes reflection and healing, and Smith Falls would be a great location to host a mosaic. If we could forward the slide, please, Nadine. What does it take? It takes a partnership with Lanark County Interval House, Town of Smith Falls, and Redefine Arts. That means that a site that is visible and prepared based on specifications, that would be provided by the Town of Smith Falls. A willing community, a desire to honor survivors and acknowledge that violence in communities is real, a commitment to participate in online and in-person sessions to create a Smith Falls vision, a commitment to participate in the build and to support the unveiling, including local promotion and engagement. And we could advance the slide, Nadine. You can see pictures here. This is the plaque, an example of the plaque. The second small picture is the mosaic that exists in Carleton Place, and the other is a mosaic that exists elsewhere, excuse me, in rural Eastern Ontario. You could forward the slide, please. Things to consider for the town of Smith Falls is where. We know the answer to when. We could certainly make, if there was a decision, we could unveil and create this whole process and have it unveiled September 2022. The cost for the town would be the preparation and donation of the space and the maintenance of that space. Otherwise, the rest of the costs are covered. Who participates? Anybody who wants to. Online and in-person facilitation, Redefine Arts will offer the skills. They offer really great processes for people to share, for people to engage, and for people to participate in many ways. The last time we had a phone line where people could share some thoughts. We had a kit that got sent to people if they wanted a kit to work on some of their ideas in the privacy of their own home or with their families. We offered online meetings and forums for people to talk about what would it look like? What would the message be when you think about a design in an art installation? And the beauty of that is that every person that looks at that art installation will see something different, and we'll find other different messages in there. Experience required, none. Just a willingness to engage. If we could forward the slides, Nadine, please. And here's another picture of another mosaic. They're beautiful pieces. I do know that Mayor Panko did say that he was a little bit jealous when he saw the pictures of the mosaic in Mississippi Mills, that we didn't have one yet in Smith Falls. And really, we would be honored for the opportunity to work with the council and work with the town of Smith Falls and our community to create a beautiful art pebble mosaic to be installed in your community. I know that my time is short. I look to Andy Troll to encourage him to share any thoughts or remarks he might want to share before we open for questions. Andy?
Thanks, Aaron. I would just say that this is called the Countdown Public Art Project because it is a countdown to end sexual and gender-based violence. And it is open to everyone because it's something that affects everyone. So we would like people from everyone in the community to be engaged in this process and open to all. And we will work with folks in the community who will come together. We will design, and then we will create, and we will actually build this pebble mosaic together. And hopefully we'll be able to do that in person, where people will be able to come and actually place the pebbles in the forms that will become cast for this public permanent public piece. And we are looking for a space that's about 6 feet in diameter, somewhere that is public and accessible. And if you have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
I would just add before that, thank you, Andy, that last year we actually had people sign up for different times to come and insert their pebbles and to help contribute to the build. And we followed all the COVID precautions to make sure that there were various tables with various parts of the molds that create and come together to form the actual piece. And that was done with lots of success. And the unveiling as well. We made sure to ensure that there were masks available, that we asked people this distance. And the unveiling is also an opportunity to have people from the town of Smith Falls who have talent and words and expressions to share outside of art to be part of the unveiling. We like to see the unveiling as an event and as a tribute to the location and to the township in which it's going to live. Thank you very, very much for hearing us and for entertaining this idea. And I turn it back to you, Chair Brennan.
Thank you, Aaron, and great to see you. I'll open it up to my colleagues for questions and comments. Mayor Panko?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron and Andy, and obviously an incredible opportunity for our community. And Aaron, when you first reached out in November, I think we all would have agreed at that point in time it was something that was critically important. Without ever understanding or expecting, we would be faced with the tragedy that occurred over Christmas, and that reminder of how critically important this is to our community, and that message, the powerful message that it also sends. So I like how this is sort of by the community for the community, and how there will be, everyone will have an opportunity to participate and help create. And so I'm looking forward to that whole process and the consultation that goes with that. You're thinking location, or you're asking about location, and my thought is we are in the process of developing a town square between by the municipal complex between it and the library, and it's probably a very suitable location, but I think it's a matter of I guess further consultation required for that. But I think it's a very prominent area that will be developed this year, so that your timing may be very good. But I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate the opportunity to bring this to Smith Falls and have this area of quiet reflection that is so critically important and so badly needed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions and comments? Councillor McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Aaron and Andy, thank you for this work. And I am very supportive of what's being proposed. No question. I think it's something that everyone would benefit from. My comment is I look at it from a higher level. And right now, which is wonderful, we have Racism and Discrimination Task Force that is talking about a permanent monument in honor of missing, murdered Indigenous women and children. We have public murals being proposed for our downtown. We've talked about moving monuments to accommodate a large mural to Smith Falls, or a gateway feature to Smith Falls. And we're doing this without any larger public art policy framework. And we're doing it piecemeal, which is a concern of mine. So I want to support this initiative, but I'm encouraging council and staff to consider looking at municipalities like Kitchener, who have adopted a public arts policy, a public monument policy to help guide these decisions. Because all of a sudden, we didn't have any for years, and now we've got 4 or 5 we're looking at, which is wonderful. It's pointing to the need that our community wants these and needs them. However, in a vacuum, I don't like to make decisions on this one and then this one and then this one. So I think we could do both. I think we can move ahead with the planning of this particular monument, and we can also establish it would help accelerate maybe our look into setting some public guidance and public policy around how we do these sorts of things. So thank you, and I look forward to participating in this.
Thank you for that. Councillor Alfred, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I don't think I could add to either much to the discussion other than what I totally agree with both Councillor McKenna and Mr. Panko. I would also say that I think the timeliness of this is important, but it's also, if it were to be going into the town square, that is an appropriate, accessible public place. And it's in line with what our construction schedule is likely to be. So I'm very supportive of this, Aaron. Thanks to both you and Andy for bringing this. And it is particularly timely in terms of losing Chantal Lebrun. So thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other council colleagues that have a comment? Councillor Allen?
No, I just want to say I'm very supportive of this too, and I'd be happy to participate. And I'm sure there are many people who would. We did the same sort of thing, Aaron and Andy, when we did our butterfly garden there under the organization of Real. And the people who came and participated and spent time helping. I mean, right now, because it's under snow and so forth, you can't see it, but we're hoping that part of our town is going to be where people want to be. And so to have this there, I think is very appropriate. And it reminds me of, I know we can't do it now, but the powwow that we've had successfully and the kinds of things that, were part of that are very close to this. And it was such a moving experience having that event. So I think the fact that we're going to have something now permanent, that we can go and reflect and think about all of these things that we need to be thinking about. So thanks for your presentation.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll just say thank you, Aaron. And your passion is apparent, and it's been apparent for a long time. And at this time, unfortunately, when we suffered a loss, it's very appreciated. And so I think you've got a lot of support around this table, and we look forward to working with you and Andy in the days to come to make this happen. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to move on. Now we have I'm going to propose an adoption of minutes, and if council has reviewed and are supportive, I'm going to ask for a motion that the minutes of the December 20th, 2021 and January 10th, 2022 committee of the whole meetings be received and filed. I look for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Allen, or Councillor Alfred, seconded by Councillor Allen. All in favor? Good, thank you. Moving along, I understand we have 3 directors' reports, and I'm looking to Director Costello for the first one. So I'll swing it over to you, Director Costello.
Thank you, Chair Brennan. The first update I wanted to bring to council's attention was regarding our downtown CIP update and the affordable housing CIP. We did go out to RFP for that, and it closed last week. 3 qualified bids were received. Currently, they're being evaluated by staff, and a report will be coming forward to council for award of that. The land need study, the RFP has been issued, and it closes on February 10th. Again, that'll be reviewed at the time and award be brought forward to council. The land need study will inform a projection on how much land is needed to be available for additional development within a 20-year horizon, and will help inform potential area plans and plan amendments. And this will help inform and guide planning for Ferrer area, the Lawrence Street corridor, as well as the Gallipo Center lands. Zoning bylaw review update. WSP is working on the draft zoning bylaw. The preliminary draft has been reviewed by staff, and they're working on some of those revisions based on feedback. And the proposal is to publish the draft bylaw mid-February with public open house targeted for March 10th. As council will recall, the town was granted municipal modernization funding in 2021. We did go out to a procurement process regarding the e-permitting for a software system for the Building Services Division with the town of Smiths Falls. It closed last week. We had 4 submissions received, and those are currently under evaluation by staff. And all of you will be informed of who was awarded that procurement process. I wanted to quickly congratulate Mary Remick. She's our planning clerk, and she has successfully completed her AMCTO Municipal Law Unit 1. So I wanted to give a shout out to Mary. That's a big step, and yeah, very happy for her. And a reminder to council that we don't have a meeting next Monday. It's our 5th Monday. We do have a property standards virtual appeal meeting tomorrow night regarding 8 St. Lawrence Street, and it's at 5 p.m. and it'll be streamed on the same YouTube and Facebook streams that we use for Committee of the Whole and Council. A reminder as well as the development charges virtual public meeting, that's Wednesday, January 26th at 5 p.m. Anybody who's wishing to submit comments or speak at the meeting or would like just to obtain further details is to get a hold of Deputy Clerk Bennett. The notice is on our website and all of her contact information can be found there as well. The study as well as the draft bylaw are on our website if people would like to review that as well. Finally, just a reminder that animal tags are available for purchase. If anybody would like to purchase a tag while we are closed, we do have the application online for people, or they can call the town office and the receptionist will be able to help you. If residents can include their completed application as well as payment, they can place it in the black mailbox up front and we'll mail the dog tag to you. And we're currently in the process of doing an online version. We're just getting the payment portion of that set up as well. So once that is done, we will let all of you know, and we'll advertise that as well.
Thank you for all that information. Any questions, comments from my colleagues? Councillor McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Costello, could you remind me and maybe the public on the development charges public meeting, that will be led by staff, it's not council's staff are hosting the public meeting. We'll be there listening and learning along with the public. Is that correct?
I will defer to CAO Morris. I don't know the format of that meeting, Councillor McKenna, but perhaps CAO Morris can elaborate.
Yeah, so through the chair, the mayor will be chairing the meeting. And of course, our consultant Hemson will be there to provide a presentation and answer any questions that may come up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions? I know that we're all interested in that meeting, and we'll probably all be there. And a public meeting is for us to listen and take input. And then when we talk about it later, we'll take that into account. And also, I want to congratulate Mary as well. And it's really nice when staff keep going and growing, and Mary's done a great job. And so congrats to Mary.
Agreed.
Any other questions for Director Costello? Seeing none, I believe our next staff report is from Chief Cheeseborough. Welcome, Chief.
Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My report tonight is with regards to our emergency control group that we met last Thursday. And as you'll see in the documents that I sent out to council last week, there's no longer statistical information as the province has changed how they're publishing their surveillance numbers. So the Lanark Health Unit is no longer doing it, as well as KFLNA or the other health units. What we do have is based on reports from the province. They have reported that there was 4,108 that were admitted to hospital that day, which is down from the 4,300 the day before. ICU counts in certain areas are continuing to decrease. One of the staggering pieces of information that was provided is there is still 1.5 million Canadians that remain unvaccinated. There has been risen concern with the province's decision to require transport drivers to be fully vaccinated, which is causing transportation delays at the borders. The recent COVID restrictions has limited the ability to provide the needed number of extreme cold shelter options that we had previously provided. And we're hoping that the restrictions, some of the easing of the restrictions will assist us in that. It was confirmed by the Fire Marshal's office last week that first responders will be included in the PCR testing program. This will reduce the need for the rapid antigen kits that the province has listed that are available. Dr. Stewart advised the health unit is still actively hosting COVID vaccination clinics. The vaccination bus did arrive in Smith Falls last week, and the required appointments to be booked. They were also taking walk-ins. Most of the recent COVID deaths that have been associated with long-term care facilities, Dr. Stewart had indicated this isn't uncommon due to the vulnerability of that population. The health unit is working with providers to complete the third and fourth doses of the vaccination. Dr. Stewart also provided clarification with regards to daycare reporting cases and messaging for staff and families, noting 30% absentee rate, which school boards are applying as a guideline, which indicated that there is an issue. 2 rapid antigen test kits have been distributed to students and staff. Dr. Stewart still highlighted the importance for self-screening, and the contact tracing should be done at the onset of the symptoms and not after a positive test case. Kim McCann advised that the health unit is hoping to include Smith Falls in a program at the Ministry of Environment and Carleton University, which monitors wastewater for COVID levels, and that will provide a better insight as to our state of affairs in Smith Falls. Town Hall and the Heritage House will remain closed until further notice. The measures will continue as part of the mandatory workplace safety protocols, where employees are still self-screening before coming to work and signing acknowledgement upon arrival. The province announced a slow reopening as follows, and it's going to be in a 3-stage process. So effective January 31st at 12:01, increase social gathering limits to 10 people indoors, 25 people outdoors, increasing and maintaining capacities at 50% for indoor public settings, which are restaurants, bars, food and drink establishment, retails, shopping malls, non-spectator sports, cinemas, meeting areas, recreational amenities, museums, galleries, casinos and bingo halls, and religious services, rites and ceremonies. Also allowing spectator areas and facilities for sporting events to operate at 50% capacity up to a maximum of 500, whatever is fewer. Enhanced proof of vaccination and other requirements will still continue to apply in the existing settings. February 21st, increased social gathering will be increased for indoor to 25 people, 100 people outdoor. We're removing the capacity limits on indoor public settings where proof of vaccination is required, including but not limited to the restaurants, indoor sports and recreational facilities. They'll be permitting spectator capacity at sporting events, concerts, and venues to increase to 50%, lifting capacities in most remaining indoor settings where proof of vaccination is not required to the number of people that can maintain 2-meter distancing. Indoor capacity limits 25% in the remaining high-risk settings where proof of vaccination is required, including nightclubs, wedding receptions, dance halls. On March the 14th, which we're all looking forward to, is a lifting of capacities in all indoor public settings. Proof of vaccination will be maintained in the existing settings in additional to the regular measures. Lifting remaining capacities on the religious services, rites and ceremonies, and the indoor gathering limit will be up to 50, with the outdoor gathering having no limit. That is my update for this evening, Mr. Chair.
Lots of information, Chief, and thank you for you and the control group for your continued efforts. Any questions or comments from council? I hope we are getting to the end of this. So thanks for your efforts, and we'll continue on. And the next one and the final one, I think, is Director Manhire. So welcome, Director Manhire. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few quick updates for me today. As the chief indicated, the arena and track will be able to open on the 31st. So that's next Monday. We have reached out to all user groups to rebuild the schedule. People are very excited to come back and looking to continue their seasons and extend their seasons. But there is a capacity limit still in place, and that limit for the arena is 500 people, which will mostly affect Ritos and Bears, but is in effect. And also a reminder that proof of vaccination is going to be a component that we need to continue with. We were doing that before this current episode, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. And we will have to continue that, and the province has not indicated a date for that termination. So we will be looking at that. And just also a reminder to the public that the province has changed the proof of vaccination requirement to be a QR code only. So I know we have, the arena has printed out, and as has the library and a number of other facilities for people. So hopefully that will be something that is a smooth transition. The emergency childcare that we were providing was terminated at the end of the lockdown for schools. So when schools went back, that was terminated. Those costs will be covered by the province. We're still working that through with the county. We continue to monitor at the school and work with the school board around testing as well as the protocols. And a reminder that the protocols for doing pre-screening for children have changed. So I would encourage people to take a look at those that are affected and apply that new screening protocol. The outdoor rink has been blessed by the weather gods, and the cold weather has allowed us to continue to operate that. We've laid down a very good base at this point, and staff were able to clear off our recent heavy dump of snow within a day and get it back open. So it's being well used, and the flow through there is actually very good. Also, the town hall tender closes tomorrow. We have gone through a number of different meetings with prospective bidders, and we're very confident that we'll get some good bids. We had 13 general contractors that have qualified for the package, and we will be receiving those tomorrow, opening them tomorrow afternoon. And then the plans team, including the architects and project management, will be reviewing the proposals, the bids, and we're hoping to be able to bring that forward to council for the first meeting in February for moving forward. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Director. Questions or comments from my colleagues? Councillor Allen?
Just one, Director Manhire, will the ice be extended so that the hockey leagues can finish their playoffs?
Right now, that's what we're looking at, and we know that the Bears, as an example, have extended their season into April, and some of them even into May. So we're currently working with the user groups to see what the demand is going into that, but it looks like the season will be extended in order to accommodate the time that was lost.
Thanks for that. That's great news.
CEO Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have one more verbal report.
Oh, sorry.
And that one will be delivered by Mr. McMahon.
Thank you for that.
Hi, thanks, Malcolm. Good evening, Chair and other members of the council. Can you hear me okay, Councillor Brennan? Okay, thank you. Just a quick report to advise that McIntosh Perry has advertised their notice of commencement for the municipal class environmental assessment for the Confederation Bridge. So what this means is they'll be reaching out to community and ministry stakeholders with respect to the project. So they're drafting those letters to reach out to them, as well as the Indigenous community as well. And so this will help them to kind of prepare for the Public Information Center, which will be coming along here not too far from now in the early part of spring, in order to have the draft document ready for hopefully this June, towards the middle to the end of June 2022. Just one more thing to note too, we're still digging out from last Monday's significant weather event. Unfortunately, we were dumped on with about 16 inches of snow. We're still in the midst of getting around to some of our local roads, areas around town, digging out the sidewalks in some of the residential areas. So interesting how it takes this much time, but it does when we're trying to move that much snow and clean up with 2 sidewalk machines. So I just wanted to advise that significant weather event statement is still in place. We hope to have it removed hopefully by midweek, towards the latter part of this week. So thank you.
Thank you, Director. Questions or comments from anyone? Nope. The bridge, finally, happy times. I can't wait to get going on that. And thank you for your work on the snow. Mayor Penko.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Can you please maybe just explain to the public why a municipal class environmental assessment is required here, why it's so important for us to go down this road rather than just fix a bridge, replace a bridge?
Yeah, so like I'd mentioned before, it's this particular project is a Schedule B under the municipal class environmental assessment provisions. And what that means is we do have to go through a number of consultations with area stakeholders and different ministries and Indigenous communities, and we have to get their feedback that will assist in informing a decision on the bridge. So it's not solely a community and/or council decision as to what happens with the structure. There's a number of different stakeholders at play as well. So we have to take all of that information, compile it into a document. There's a cultural heritage evaluation report that needs to be completed. There's a heritage impact assessment that needs to be completed. So it is cognizant of the heritage significance of the bridge as well. So all that to say is there's a tremendous amount of work, as we know, that goes into a municipal class EA, and that's why we rely on the, the expertise of consultants that that they're well experienced in this work. So trusting that answers your question, Mayor.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I just think it's a little late, but anyway, we're going forward. That's good. Any other questions for Director? No. We have one correspondence item, and that is a letter from Niagara-on-the-Lake from January 12th regarding a national child care program. As council are probably aware, the federal government has launched this, has signed a number of agreements with various provinces. I think they signed one today or yesterday with Nunavut, and Ontario has not signed. So this is recommending that we pass a resolution to encourage the province to continue negotiating with the federal government to get a deal for our province. So I would propose to council that we bring this forward at a future committee of the whole, and then potentially and probably support this resolution with one of our own. Councillor Alfred.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And the sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned. This is, I support this resolution in every way possible. This would open the door for, I understand men are involved, but predominantly this is one of the challenges that women face in getting back into the workforce or joining it at all. So the sooner that Ontario can negotiate something, the better. And if our resolution would help speed that along, I'm absolutely supportive of it.
Everyone else supportive? Thumbs up all around. So that'll come forward sooner rather than later. Moving along, we have no in-camera items. We have 3 priority issues this evening. And the first is fire dispatching agreement with the municipality of Warden, and that's with Chief Cheeseborough. Welcome back, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My report tonight is to request council's approval to execute and enter into a 5-year agreement with the municipality of Warrenclyffe for the purposes of receiving emergency calls and notifying Warrenclyffe Fire Department of that call. As council will remember, we had council approval and did a trial period with Warrenclyffe. This is a department of single station, single vehicle, a very small population. And we did provide that trial period for receiving the calls, which began at the end of 2018. The agreement provided for the option of extending the contract each year for a 5-year period, and that expired at the end of 2021. Warrenclyffe Fire Department has requested that we enter into a 5-year contract, which would begin immediately if passed by council. In the agreement, they have made one suggestion for an alteration from increasing the number of calls from 4 calls per year with inside the agreement each year to 5 calls. All additional calls after the 5-call limit would be at a rate of $300 per call. As stated, the community is comprised, I should say, of 140 residents, 100 homes, 90 seasonal cottages, and has a coverage area of 200 kilometers. The budget and financial implications, revenue from this contract for this year, the start of the contract would be $750.72, which is subject to HST and CPI. The annual fee, as with the other contracts, would increase over the course of the 5-year contract by the CPI adjustment in each of the 5 years. I have provided an attachment to that just simply advises council of the increases by CPI and HST each year. Over the course of the trial period that we've had, the first year, no calls, the second year, 1 call. So it's a very limited number of calls. They're pleased with the service, and there's been no issues from our end with regards to dispatching. So therefore, it's my recommendation that council authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into this agreement with the municipality of Warrenclyffe for dispatching services for a 5-year period.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am supportive of the chief's recommendation. I do wonder, however, if this is another example of where, as we streamline and modernize our services, that this could be a staff-approved kind of a venture rather than these particular contracts coming to council for approval. It's one of those things that I think staff are more than capable of managing, and I don't see any under the right policy framework. This could be. I just wonder if my colleagues would consider, or CO Morris would consider exploring that.
Okay. CO Morris.
Yeah, through the chair. So that's a valid observation. So historically, any contractual arrangement that binds the corporation is something that council would approve. Doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So I would propose that we consider such a change or delegation of authority through the procedural bylaw that's coming before you as a second draft, I believe later in the month of February. Your point's well taken, and we would agree that some of these things are largely administrative. The only element we need to reconcile is it is a legal agreement that we're entering into.
Okay. Any other comments? I would just comment that, and I think that we have a number of these agreements with various departments around Ontario, in fact, and it's nice to be able to hear about them and getting some transparency in the public and find out that we're doing this kind of thing and it's value added for the fire department. Chief Sproul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just I wasn't going to bring this up tonight, but I think it's an important point that over the course of the last week, we have negotiated with our clients who we've been in contact with, and of the 9, we have secured 8 verbal confirmations, and in fact, one department was extremely pleased with the service and asked if it could possibly be 10-year contract. So we're hopeful that over the course of the next few months, when their contracts are ending, that it will be a seamless transition and reporting back to council to have those extended to the 5 years again.
Thanks for that. Any other comments? I think that probably for this particular one, you've got support. Everybody thumbs up on that? Yes. So that'll come up later this evening at our council meeting to approve. Correct, Deputy Clerk? Yes. Okay. Now we have the old nugget joint several liability report with CO Morris, and this has been ongoing for probably as long as I've been around. So I look forward to hearing about it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You're quite right. This is not a new issue, but it is important. And so I have a recommendation, which is essentially to support a study that AMO did in 2019. It's appended to the report and provides a really good overview of the nature of joint and several and the problematic nature, and it provides a couple of case studies. But perhaps for everyone's benefit, maybe I'll provide you a 3-sentence description of what joint and several liability is, because it's sometimes misunderstood. Essentially, where damages have been caused by 2 or more people, and where 2 or more are found to be at fault or negligent for that damage, then they are what's called jointly and severably liable to the person suffering the damage. So that seems fairly intuitive. If you cause a problem, you're responsible for remedying it. The problem with joint and several liability under the Negligence Act is that a plaintiff's lawyer only has to prove 1% liability on what's called a deep-pocketed defendant. Municipalities, despite the struggles we do to to raise money and cover our operating costs are considered deep-pocketed defendants. So a plaintiff's lawyer only has to prove 1% responsibility, and the deep-pocketed defendant could pay up to 100% of the damage claim. Therein lies the inequity with joint and several. And I think it's important to understand that we're not advocating to diminish the award that an injured person receives. We're simply saying there needs to be a better proportional allocation of responsibility and therefore costs to cover those issues, especially if it's a catastrophic accident. So in a sense, it's about the way that costs and damages are awarded under this regime. So there's been a lot of research. The current government had signaled its intention to do something about it back in after AMO's report was produced in 2019. There's been a little bit of activity, but not a lot. AMO wants to put the push on now before the end of this term of the provincial government to take action on it. So that's why we're bringing it forward now to add, hopefully, Smiths Falls Council's name to the list of those advocating for change and move towards a more a fair approach to distributing damage awards. I would add that today and tomorrow is the Roma conference, and the mayor and Councillor McKenna and I have been participating. We had a delegation earlier today. But what's important is Attorney General Doug Downey had indicated during the Ministers' Forum that he has reached out to develop a technical working group to look at this. There may be some suspicion that there isn't a causal link between joint and several liability and insurance premiums for municipalities that are rising. So clearly he needs to be satisfied that there is a causal link before they make a change. So I would consider that encouraging news that this provincial government seems to want to act on it. So I think a resolution from this council would help in that municipal lobby effort. There's a lot of detail. The report's appended, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, questions from anyone? Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a quiet group tonight.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'm supportive of this resolution, and on its own, it is, I'm confident that it is impacting our costs for insurers. It's also cybersecurity and climate change disasters. We heard today from impact insurers saying that many insurers are getting out of the business. They just can't afford to insure municipalities. And so those smaller companies offering insurance to us is going to drive up costs. I was also present at the Association of Municipalities of Ontario at the very start of this government's mandate, and I stood up along with 1,000 other delegates to applaud the Premier when he said he is going to deal with this. And so certainly CEO Morris is polite by saying he's encouraged that they've struck another task force, but that's 3.5 years. And as Councillor Brennan points out, it's a number of, been a decade at least, that it's not an old nugget. This is a pain in the ass to municipalities. And I was really hopeful that this government would deal with it. So I'm 100% behind getting this resolution passed and forwarded to the government as soon as possible.
Thanks for that. I think you're going to get nodding heads. I would invite anyone to read the report from AMO, because some of the examples are totally, I'll say, ridiculous. The cases have been found against municipalities. So, and you're right, this has been going on for a long time. So I'm happy. I hope we can do a resolution and add our name to that list. And we'll do that. Will we do that tonight? I don't think so. Yes.
Yes, we will.
Okay, good. Okay, finally, municipal recreation cost sharing, the multi-party agreement report. We're all looking forward to CEO Morris.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So there's no pain infliction on this one. This one is a agreement we've been working on since really last April. The 5-year agreement we had in place previously expired at the end of December. So our goal was to assemble the partners and enter a new agreement. Committee may remember the last time around, Merrickville Wolford decided not to become a partner. And we had many conversations with them, and happy to announce that their council did approve entering the agreement. So we have all partners together. There will be 6 partners to this agreement, and it provides unfettered access to all of the residents of those communities, and certainly helps offset the costs that we incur as the facility owner. So all the details in the report, but I'm highly recommending that council approve this. It would be effective January 1st, 2022 and run until the end of December 2026.
I think you're going to get some thumbs up, Councillor Alford.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to both Mayor Panko and CAO Morris for coming up with an equitable 5-year deal for that many partners. That is usually quite a feat. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Councillor Alford. I also want to thank our partners in our neighboring municipalities. We aren't isolated here on Little Island. We do need each other. We benefit from each other municipalities, and I think that they've all stepped up, and they are good neighbors, good friends, and this is a sign of their willingness to work together. I look forward to this being a great success. So thank you.
Okay. And Mayor Panko, I think you had your hand up.
Well, Councillor McKenna said it so well. Just a gratitude to all the councils that see this as a regional recreational facility and want to ensure that their citizens have full and unfettered use.
Yep. So that's going to come forward this evening, and another it's been sometimes a tough nut to crack. And congrats to the mayor and CEO for putting forward a rational plan. And hopefully, I mean, going forward, I think that there should and will be more of this type of cooperation between municipalities. So thanks for that. We'll pass that tonight. Okay, finally, I'm going to entertain a motion that the committee adjourn its proceedings at, I'll say 5:56, and stand so adjourned until the next duly called committee meeting. Yeah, 5:56. Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor McGuire, all in favor? And we will be back shortly. And Deputy Clerk Bennett, 5 minutes. Is that?
You can start whenever council's ready.
Okay, so we'll do 3, and then I think there's some things to take care of. So we'll take care of those, and we'll be right back.
Okay, we line up movers and seconders here. I see we've got 7-1 is looked after, 7-2 looked after.
7-3, I was going to ask Council Brennan to do that one. 7.